The first thing Lucas Harrington noticed was the silence. Not the normal hum of the Upper East Side diner, the clatter of trays, the soft jazz spilling from speakers, the murmur of lunchtime chatter, but a sudden, unnatural quiet around his table. His phone hadn't vibrated. And for a man whose life depended on every ping, every alert, every instant update, that absence was alarming. Across from him, the waitress leaned in. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly, adjusting the corner of his napkin, then casually picking up his phone. Her movements were fluid, unhurried, professional. She smiled, perfectly composed, but Lucas's gut screamed that this was no ordinary service. Her name tag read Naomi Brooks. In one seamless motion, she replaced his phone with another identical model, then stepped back as if nothing had happened. Her eyes flicked briefly to the window where a man in a dark jacket watched every table, his gaze sharp and calculating. Naomi's lips barely moved. "Don't react," she whispered. "The person by the window, he's not who you think he is." Lucas froze. His real phone, the one with all his passwords, contacts, business plans, was gone. Only Naomi's replacement sat in its place. His heartbeat thundered in his chest. Across the diner, the stranger's reflection shimmered in the glass like a predator measuring him. Lucas's mind raced. Was this a robbery? A setup? Or something worse? Every instinct told him that Naomi hadn't just switched his phone to be helpful. She had done it to protect him. The realization hit him hard. His life, everything he had built, could vanish in an instant. The waitress had already moved on to another table, serving customers with calm precision. To the casual observer, she was just another server. But Lucas knew better now. Whatever she had just done, it had bought him seconds, maybe minutes, to survive. Seconds that could mean life or death. Naomi Brooks had changed everything. And Lucas Harrington understood something terrifying. This wasn't about convenience. This was about survival. The man by the window shifts, eyes narrowing. Lucas doesn't know what he's capable of, and every second counts. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Comment below where you're watching from. I read every single comment. May today bring you blessings. Let's begin. The second Lucas Harrington realized his phone had been switched, adrenaline surged through him like electricity. Every muscle tensed, every instinct sharpened. Naomi Brooks had moved with flawless calm, but Lucas's gut knew better. This was no casual act of service. She had just stolen time from danger itself. He glanced toward the window again. The man in the dark jacket had frozen mid-movement, eyes locked on Lucas with a predator's patience. The reflection shimmered as though calculating every possible reaction. Lucas swallowed hard, realizing the danger he had been sitting in plain sight for minutes. He could almost hear the clock ticking, each second an invitation to disaster. Naomi bent slightly, pretending to straighten a napkin, her eyes flicking to Lucas for a fleeting second. He could barely meet her gaze, heart hammering. She was calm, collected, almost serene, but Lucas had seen enough in his life to know that calm was sometimes the deadliest disguise. Do you know him?" Lucas whispered, nodding toward the stranger. His voice was low, nearly drowned out by the quiet buzz of the diner. Naomi's lips barely moved. "I know enough," she said softly. "Keep still. Don't draw attention." Lucas felt the weight of her words sink in. Every movement mattered now. Even breathing too loudly could alert the man by the window. He shifted slightly, careful not to make a sound, his mind spinning through every possible scenario. Kidnapping, assassination, blackmail. Any of it could be happening in a New York diner at noon. Naomi moved around the table with seamless efficiency, delivering orders to nearby patrons, refilling coffee, all while keeping a watchful eye on Lucas. She had made it look effortless, a natural part of her role as a waitress. But Lucas understood. This was precision work, and he was the target. Why would someone want me?" he whispered again, more to himself than to Naomi. She paused at the end of the table, bending to adjust a plate. "Because of what you know," she said quietly. "Or who you are. Either way, the person watching isn't here for lunch." Lucas's eyes darted to the stranger again. Every movement was deliberate, predatory. The man didn't even pretend to eat. His focus was entirely on Lucas. Something in his posture screamed professional, trained, dangerous. Lucas knew that if this man made the wrong move, or if Lucas made the wrong move, the consequences would be immediate. He took a slow breath, trying to calm the panic rising in his chest. Naomi had bought him time. That much was clear. But seconds were all he had. He needed a plan. Naomi leaned in again, just close enough that he could feel her presence. "Lucas," she whispered, voice nearly drowned out by the hum of the diner. "When you leave, don't take the obvious exit. The street outside isn't safe. Go to the side alley near Lexington. There's a car waiting. You'll know it by the black tint." He nodded, barely moving his lips. How do you know this?" She allowed a brief, almost imperceptible smile. "I've been watching too. You're not alone in this. But you have to trust me." Trust. Lucas had built a career on control, on knowing every detail, on not leaving things to chance. And yet now, every instinct screamed that the only choice he had was to trust Naomi. She had just replaced his phone without him even realizing it until the adrenaline hit, and she had whispered instructions that could save his life. He studied her. Naomi Brooks, Waitress. But Lucas had learned long ago that titles rarely reflected reality. In the split second he had to make decisions, he realized she was far more than that. The man by the window moved slightly, a shadow of a shift, and Lucas's pulse surged. Naomi caught it instantly, her eyes narrowing. She stepped just slightly between him and the stranger, subtly adjusting her posture as though shielding Lucas with nothing but presence. "Ready?" she whispered. Lucas nodded. Every muscle in his body was taut. The diner around them seemed irrelevant now, a blur of muted conversations and clinking silverware. Only Naomi's movements, Lucas's heartbeat, and the stranger's calculating eyes existed. A sudden noise, a dropped tray in the far corner, caused Lucas to flinch. The man by the window didn't move, but Lucas felt the tension spike. Naomi's hand lightly brushed his arm, almost imperceptibly, grounding him. Her calm presence contrasted sharply with the chaos coursing through his mind. "You're going to move in 30 seconds, Naomi whispered. "I've timed it. Walk normally. Don't make a scene. The car in the alley, follow my signal." Lucas tried to memorize every detail, the location of tables, the aisles, the distance to the door. Seconds were fleeting, and the stakes had never felt higher. The man by the window glanced again, narrowing his eyes. Lucas felt a chill, realizing this person was calculating exactly how and when Lucas would leave. Any hesitation could be fatal. Naomi bent down to adjust a menu, hiding her face just enough that Lucas couldn't read her expression, though her hands were steady, practiced. Every gesture was precise, designed to misdirect, delay, protect. She was no ordinary waitress. Lucas's mind raced. How had he underestimated a simple act of service? How could something as mundane as a switched phone hold the weight of life and death? He tried to recall the last time he had trusted anyone completely. It had been years. Every alliance, every business partner, every friend had come with strings, with motives hidden behind smiles. And now, here he was, relying entirely on Naomi Brooks, the waitress who had just saved him without explanation. 30 seconds. He counted them silently, trying to slow time. Naomi's eyes flicked to his, a signal he instinctively understood. As he prepared to move, a sudden shift. The stranger at the window stood, phone raised as if calling someone. Lucas froze. Naomi's hand tightened just slightly on his arm, guiding, warning. "Now," she whispered. Lucas rose, careful, smooth, blending into the flow of patrons. Naomi stepped aside just enough to let him pass, her movements choreographed to perfection. The stranger's eyes followed him, but Lucas didn't break pace, didn't look back. Every step was deliberate, every second counted. He reached the exit, pushing the door open into the glare of New York sunlight, heart hammering. Naomi's voice reached him as he stepped outside. "Trust the car. Don't stop until you're told to." He sprinted toward the alley, adrenaline coursing through every vein. Behind him, the diner returned to normal, the sound of cups clinking, trays sliding, soft chatter, but Lucas knew better. Naomi Brooks had altered everything. Every second, every heartbeat, had been manipulated to keep him alive. A sleek black car waited where she said, engine running. Lucas slid inside, the door closing with a soft click. He looked back once at the diner, heart still racing, realizing that Naomi had not just saved him. She had rewritten the rules of survival in a single, silent act. Who sent the stranger, and why had Lucas been targeted so publicly? Naomi remains in the diner. What will she do next? and who is really watching her. Lucas's phone, now switched, holds information that could unravel his life if accessed. What secrets are hidden inside? The black car surged through the narrow streets of the Upper East Side, tires whispering against wet asphalt. Lucas Harrington leaned back, chest heaving, heart still hammering from the adrenaline of the diner. Every instinct screamed that this was only the beginning. Naomi Brooks had bought him seconds, perhaps minutes, but the real danger was far from over. "Who sent them?" he finally asked, voice low, almost swallowed by the hum of the engine. The driver, silent until now, didn't answer immediately. Finally, a clipped tone broke the tension. "Someone who doesn't want you alive. That's all you need to know for now. Our priority is keeping you safe." Lucas's mind raced. He had enemies, sure, business rivals, jealous associates, and political adversaries, but he had never been targeted so openly, so audaciously, in broad daylight. The diner, New York's Upper East Side, had been packed with witnesses, yet the man by the window hadn't hesitated to make a move. It was precision work, professional and ruthless. "And Naomi?" Lucas asked, glancing at the rearview mirror where the driver's reflection caught his eye. "Why risk her like that?" The driver's eyes flicked briefly to him. "She knows more than she should, and she has her own reasons. But she's as capable as she appears. Trust her." Lucas exhaled sharply, realizing that trust, something he had rarely given freely, was now his lifeline. Every detail from the diner, the calm efficiency, the subtle warning, the phone switch, had been carefully orchestrated. Naomi wasn't just saving him. She was controlling the battlefield while he followed her lead. The car turned sharply onto Madison Avenue, the sun reflecting off mirrored windows, creating fleeting flashes of glare. Lucas's thoughts flicked to the stranger's reflection in the diner window. A predator measuring him, calculating every possibility. That man could follow, coordinate, call reinforcements. And Lucas had nothing but a switched phone and Naomi's instructions. Minutes stretched, heavy with tension, until the car slowed near a nondescript building tucked behind the larger facades of Madison. The driver spoke. "We're here. Wait inside. Stay alert. Naomi will contact you shortly." Lucas stepped out, adrenaline still coursing through him. The city around him felt both familiar and alien. Every honking cab, every pedestrian blurred into background noise. His life, everything he had built, could be undone in an instant. Inside the building, the atmosphere was controlled chaos. Screens lined the walls, each displaying feeds of streets, buildings, and faces. Security personnel moved with precision, their eyes alert to every anomaly. Lucas realized this was more than a safe house. It was an operations center. Naomi had anticipated contingencies, layers of protection that most people never imagined. A soft knock drew his attention. Naomi appeared in the doorway, black blazer perfectly tailored, hair pulled into a tight bun. She exuded calm authority, yet every glance carried urgency. "You're safe, for now," she said, voice steady but low. "But this is far from over. That man at the diner? He wasn't working alone. You're being watched, tracked, and manipulated. Every step you take can be anticipated unless we stay ahead." Lucas swallowed hard. "Why? Why me? What do they want?" Naomi moved closer, lowering her voice. "You've unknowingly inherited something dangerous. Secrets buried in plain sight. Whoever sent him wants control over that information, and they won't hesitate to kill to get it." Lucas's thoughts spun. Control, power, business empires, personal life. Every corner of his world suddenly felt fragile, like glass under pressure. A sudden alert pinged on one of the monitors. Naomi's eyes narrowed. "They're mobilizing," she said. "We have to move again now?" The diner was only the opening act. "We need to get you somewhere they won't anticipate." Lucas nodded, heart thundering. He followed her through a labyrinth of corridors, each turn rehearsed, each door marked only by a discrete symbol. Naomi moved with certainty, her every gesture a shield against the unknown. He had never seen anyone navigate danger like this, precise, calm, and utterly confident. They reached a private exit, a hidden staircase leading down to a tunnel beneath the city. Lucas paused for a brief second, taking in the weight of what was happening. Naomi turned to him. "No hesitation. Every second counts. One mistake, and we're finished." The tunnel was dimly lit, the hum of air circulation filling the space. Lucas's thoughts raced. He tried to recall every detail from the diner, the stranger's gaze, the phone switch, Naomi's signal. Every memory sharpened his focus. Halfway through the tunnel, a shadow flickered near the far wall. Lucas froze. Naomi's hand shot out, grabbing his arm and pulling him into the shadow of a recessed alcove. A figure passed, a courier, briefcase in hand, moving at a brisk pace. Eyes forward, unaware of their presence. "They're everywhere," Naomi whispered. "This isn't random. Every street, every alley, every cafe, it's a network. They've watched you for weeks, maybe months. We're lucky we intercepted them at the diner." Lucas's stomach churned. Weeks. Months. How many people had seen him, followed him, measured his routines? The weight of vulnerability pressed down like a boulder. They emerged from the tunnel into a deserted street. A black SUV waited, engine purring softly. Naomi ushered him in. Lucas glanced at her, a question unspoken in his eyes. She nodded, a small, almost imperceptible gesture acknowledging everything. As the SUV pulled away, Lucas realized the magnitude of what had just occurred. Naomi had not only saved him, but she had anticipated every possible contingency, every angle of attack. She had turned a public act in a crowded diner into a masterclass in survival. Minutes passed in tense silence. Lucas's mind replayed the diner, the unnatural quiet, the subtle movements, the whispered warning. Naomi had acted without hesitation, without doubt, and without the need for thanks. Finally, Naomi spoke. "You need to understand something," she said, voice low and precise. "This isn't just about staying alive. This is about outsmarting people who don't play by rules. You've been thrust into a game where the stakes are far higher than you imagined." Lucas clenched his fists, determination building. "Then teach me. I need to know how to survive. How to protect myself. How to—" "Not yet," Naomi interrupted, eyes narrowing. "Right now we move. Knowledge without timing is dangerous. Every detail, every piece of information, has its moment. And your moment is coming, but only if we stay ahead." The SUV weaved through Midtown, avoiding main avenues, slipping down side streets and alleys Lucas had never noticed existed. The city became a labyrinth, and he was both the hunted and the protected. Naomi checked her watch, then spoke quietly. "We'll reach a temporary safe house. From there, I'll contact allies. People you've trusted, people who can help, but not everyone is safe. Not yet. Every conversation is being monitored." Lucas exhaled slowly, absorbing her words. Allies. Trusted people. Monitoring. The web of danger was wider than he had imagined, stretching into corners of the city and his life he hadn't even considered. A sudden vibration on the floorboard caught his attention. He looked down. His old phone, the one Naomi had replaced, lay there, emitting a faint light. Lucas's stomach tightened. Whoever had accessed it first had likely tried to manipulate him, track him, gather intelligence. He realized the depth of what Naomi had done. She had not only saved him physically, but had severed the connection between him and his enemies. Naomi's eyes met his. "Do not touch it," she said firmly. "That phone is compromised. Your life depends on what's in this replacement, not that one." Lucas nodded. Trust. Instinct. Survival. Naomi's every action reinforced a lesson he had never wanted to learn. Control was an illusion, and sometimes survival required absolute faith in someone else's judgment. They pulled into a nondescript garage, the SUV shutting down quietly. Lucas followed Naomi inside. The space was empty, sterile, but secure. Surveillance cameras lined the walls, feeds muted but clearly active. Inside, Naomi said, "Lock the doors. We're not done. The man from the diner is just one player. There are others, and they'll keep coming until they get what they want." Lucas's mind spun. Others. The web of danger seemed endless. But one thing was clear. Naomi Brooks had changed everything. Without her, he would have been exposed, vulnerable, and perhaps already lost. The quiet hum of the city above contrasted sharply with the tension inside. Lucas realized that his life had been irrevocably altered in the span of a few minutes in a crowded Upper East Side diner. The world he thought he knew, corporate deals, alliances, power, was trivial compared to the raw immediacy of survival. Naomi's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, eyes narrowing. "We have a new lead. Someone close to you has been compromised. We need to move again, soon." Lucas exhaled, feeling the weight of exhaustion and fear pressing down, but also a spark of resolve. The stakes were higher than ever, but with Naomi guiding him, perhaps survival was possible. Who is the new threat, and how close are they to Lucas? Naomi receives a coded message. What does it reveal, and who sent it? The replaced phone contains hidden information that could destroy or save Lucas. What secrets lie inside? The city lights of Manhattan stretched endlessly outside the window, neon reflections dancing across polished glass. Lucas Harrington sat in the dimly lit safe house, fingers tapping nervously against the table. Naomi Brooks moved methodically, checking feeds, scanning every corner of the room, her calm aura masking a simmering tension. Lucas's mind replayed the diner over and over, the subtle phone switch, the whispered warning, the predator's eyes in the reflection. Each detail was magnified now, evidence of how vulnerable he had been. How did they know where I'd be? He finally asked, voice low, almost swallowed by the hum of the building's ventilation system. Naomi didn't look up. They watch everything. Street cams, traffic sensors, even your habits. The diner was only a test, a probe to measure your reactions. And your reactions told them more than you think. Lucas's stomach turned. He had assumed his enemies were distant, corporate sharks and jealous rivals. But this was personal, immediate. Someone, or several people, had orchestrated every detail, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Why me? He asked again, desperation creeping in. What do they want? Naomi finally met his gaze. Her eyes were sharp and calculating, yet tinged with concern. You've inherited information, Lucas. Critical information. Details buried deep in your company, in your partnerships, in your family. They want control, and they won't stop until they have it. Lucas leaned back, processing her words. Control. Secrets. Betrayal. The life he thought was untook partnerships, only felt fragile. Every handshake, every business meeting, every ally could be compromised. He realized the diner had been a warning, but it was also a test, a measure of how quickly he could respond under pressure. A sudden buzz drew their attention. Naomi's phone displayed an encrypted message. Her fingers flew across the screen, eyes scanning rapidly. Lucas leaned closer, trying to see, but she blocked the view. What is it? He asked, urgency creeping into his voice. They know someone in your inner circle is compromised, she said finally. And if we're not careful, they could use that person to trap you. Or worse. Lucas's chest tightened. Inner circle. Trusted allies. Could anyone really be trusted anymore? He felt a wave of isolation, the kind that settled deep in the chest and made breathing feel heavy. Naomi stood and grabbed her coat. We move. Now. We can't wait. They'll strike the moment we hesitate. Minutes later, they slipped into a black SUV, tires whispering against wet asphalt. Lucas watched the city blur past, the familiar streets of New York now a maze of potential danger. Every pedestrian, every reflection, every glance could conceal a threat. The SUV took a series of back alleys, avoiding main thoroughfares. Lucas's mind raced. The diner, the tunnel, the safe house. They were all part of a carefully orchestrated plan. Naomi's every move was calculated, and he had to trust her completely. Finally, the car stopped near an abandoned warehouse. Naomi guided him inside, where shadows stretched across the high ceilings. Monitors lined the walls, showing live feeds of the city, each screen a window into another layer of danger. Lucas felt the weight of surveillance pressing down, a reminder that safety was temporary, fragile. A sudden ping drew their attention. One of the monitors highlighted a figure moving toward the Upper East Side, a shadow among the city lights. Naomi's lips pressed into a thin line. They're advancing. Faster than expected. Lucas felt panic rising. Who? Naomi didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pulled a chair close, gesturing for him to sit. We need strategy, not reaction. Reacting now would play into their hands. You must remain calm. Every decision counts. Minutes passed, tense and silent. Lucas's fingers drummed against the table, the hum of the city above a faint reminder of normalcy he no longer felt. Naomi moved like a predator herself, scanning feeds, tapping messages into her phone, coordinating responses with unseen allies. Finally, she spoke. There's a mole, someone who has access to your schedules, your plans, even your communications. and they're willing to betray you for money, power, or revenge. We must isolate them before they act. Lucas's mind whirled. A mole? Among trusted executives? His family? The realization was crushing. He had always prided himself on control, on foresight. Now, every ally was a potential threat. Every word could be overheard. Naomi's phone buzzed again. She glanced at it, eyes narrowing. They've sent another operative, heading toward the diner's vicinity. If they reach it, the chain of events could be catastrophic. Lucas's pulse quickened. How do we stop them? Naomi's expression was unreadable. First, we need to understand their endgame. They want leverage, and leverage comes from exposure. We protect the information, and we protect you. But above all, we move unseen, unpredictable, and untouchable. Lucas exhaled slowly. The words were logical, strategic, but the fear was raw, primal. He realized for the first time how vulnerable he had been, and how much he relied on Naomi's expertise. Suddenly, one of the monitors flickered. Lucas leaned closer. A familiar face appeared, a member of his executive team, the one he had trusted implicitly. They were handing a USB drive to a shadowed figure. The betrayal was immediate, visceral. Naomi's voice was calm, but lethal. That's the mole. We have confirmation. Now we act. Lucas's hands shook. What do we do? Naomi moved quickly, coordinating with a team of unseen operatives. We intercept, neutralize, and secure the information. You stay here until I give the word. One wrong move, and we all lose. Minutes felt like hours as Lucas sat, heart racing, watching the city through the warehouse windows. Every shadow, every reflection could conceal danger. He thought of the diner, of Naomi's calm precision, of the seconds she had bought him. Without her, he would have been powerless, exposed, finished. Finally, a comms buzz. Naomi's voice came through the headset. Intercept complete. The mole has been neutralized. Information is secure. But this is only the beginning. Others will come. You must be prepared. Lucas exhaled, relief washing over him, but tempered by the knowledge that the threat was far from over. Naomi had saved him once, but the game was just beginning. Another operative has been spotted near Lucas's apartment. How will Naomi intercept before they strike? The mole may have copied critical data. What secrets could still be at risk? Naomi receives an encrypted call. Who is on the other end? And what demands will they make? If you were Lucas, would you trust Naomi fully or suspect her motives? Comment below with your choice. Like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling stories of survival and betrayal. The city hummed outside, indifferent to the chaos inside the warehouse. Lucas Harrington remained seated, pulse still racing, while Naomi Brooks moved with fluid precision, her fingers tapping across the encrypted monitors. Every screen told a story, every shadow a potential threat. The mole had been neutralized, yes, but the ripple effects were only beginning. Lucas's mind replayed the diner, the subtle switch, and the whispered warning. Naomi had saved him once, but now the stakes were higher. He realized that survival wasn't just about avoiding threats. It was about controlling them before they even arrived. A sudden ping from Naomi's headset drew his attention. We have movement near your apartment. An operative, armed, heading directly toward the building. They know we're aware. Lucas's chest tightened. Can you stop them? Naomi didn't answer immediately. She scanned multiple feeds, eyes narrowing. I can intercept, but I need you out of sight. Every second counts. She grabbed a tactical bag, pulling out a compact device. We're not just protecting you, Lucas. We're protecting everything you've built. The secrets, the alliances, and your life. Minutes later, Lucas was moved through a series of hidden corridors, the city's neon glow fading behind reinforced doors. Naomi's movements were silent, precise, each step calculated. He marveled at her composure. She moved as though danger was a rhythm she had practiced all her life. The operative approached, unaware of the silent countermeasures deployed. Cameras flickered, sensors activated, and a low hum vibrated through the corridor. Naomi's voice came through the comm. Now. A flash of light, a soft mechanical click, and the operative froze mid-step. Disarmed, restrained, neutralized. Lucas exhaled sharply, adrenaline still thrumming. The danger had passed, for now, but the tension was far from over. Back in the safe room, Naomi reviewed the feeds. The mole might have copied data before we intercepted them. We need to confirm exactly what was taken. Lucas felt a wave of panic. If they have even a fragment. Naomi held up a hand. We control what they can do next. We're not letting this slip. We have contingencies, backup plans, and, most importantly, you're alive, and that's the first priority. Hours blurred as they analyzed, cross-referenced, and secured networks. Each revelation was a reminder of the stakes. Rivals hungry for control, insiders willing to betray, and a world where one wrong step could erase everything. Lucas understood now that the diner, the phone, the whisper, it was all part of a larger chessboard, and Naomi had been playing multiple moves ahead. Finally, a secured message appeared. Naomi's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of tension passing through her normally composed features. Someone else knows. A higher-level operative, or perhaps an entirely different faction. They've been observing, waiting for us to make a mistake. Lucas leaned forward. What do we do? Naomi's lips pressed into a thin line. We create the illusion of vulnerability. Let them believe they have leverage. But in reality, we control the narrative. It's the only way to flush out the remaining threats without endangering you. Hours passed in this careful, silent strategy. Lucas learned more about Naomi in those tense minutes than he had in a lifetime of business meetings. She was calm under fire, calculating, unyielding, but also fiercely protective. Every choice, every maneuver, carried the weight of someone who understood the cost of failure. Suddenly, one monitor flickered. A familiar figure appeared, the CEO of a rival firm, smirking from behind a mask of anonymity. He held a device in his hand, poised to release sensitive information. Lucas's heart thumped in his chest. Naomi's voice cut through the silence. We need to act now. If they upload that data, the consequences will be catastrophic. I need you to trust me completely. Lucas swallowed hard. I trust you. Together, they executed a synchronized maneuver. Digital countermeasures, live tracking, and a silent infiltration into the operative's location. The tension was unbearable. Every second stretched, every decision weighed like a boulder. Finally, Naomi's calm authority prevailed. The device was neutralized, the information secured, and the rival CEO disoriented, forced to retreat. Lucas exhaled, the adrenaline leaving his body in a rush. Naomi turned, eyes meeting his. It's over for now. But remember this, survival isn't just about reacting. It's about anticipating, controlling, and protecting what matters. And right now, that's you. Lucas nodded, a deep respect forming. I owe you everything. Not just for today, but for the diner, the warning, everything. Naomi shook her head. You owe no one. You survived because you acted, because you trusted, and because you understood the stakes. That's the difference between life and death in our world. Outside, New York continued its endless rhythm, unaware of the battles waged in the shadows. Lucas realized that even in a city of millions, a single decision could tilt the balance between survival and catastrophe. An encrypted message pings on Naomi's phone. Someone from Lucas's past is watching, and their intentions are unclear. Lucas receives a text from an unknown number, revealing a hidden connection to the mole. What will he do? Mini cliffhanger 3. The safe house alarm triggers, faint but unmistakable. Has another operative infiltrated their location? Through it all, Lucas felt a profound shift. Naomi hadn't just saved his life. She had taught him a new understanding of trust, danger, and human instinct. Every heartbeat, every glance, every calculated risk had brought them here, and he understood now that survival was never solitary. The city skyline glittered in the fading twilight as Lucas Harrington watched from the rooftop terrace, the hum of New York stretching beneath him like an endless web of possibilities and dangers. Naomi Brooks stood beside him, her expression calm, almost unreadable, yet Lucas sensed the storm of calculations behind her eyes. Every move of the past 24 hours had led to this moment, and the consequences were only now crystallizing. Everything's secure, Naomi said, glancing at the array of secured devices and encrypted reports she had brought. The mole is neutralized, your data is protected, and the rival's leverage has been dismantled. But there's still one final step. Lucas turned to her, concern etched into his features. One final step? She nodded. Trust isn't just about surviving today. It's about ensuring the threats you don't even know exist can't catch you off guard tomorrow. There's someone from your past who's been waiting for an opportunity like this. Lucas felt a chill. Who? Naomi didn't answer immediately. Instead, she held up a small, sleek device. Lucas recognized it immediately. A communication tracker, capable of revealing hidden connections. This will show us who's left and how deep the network runs. We can cut off the threats, but we have to act decisively. Minutes passed as they analyzed the network, tracing every shadow, every encrypted signal, every unaccounted-for digital footprint. Lucas's stomach tightened with realization. The danger wasn't over. The mole had been only the beginning. Someone was still watching, waiting for the slightest misstep. Suddenly, Naomi's eyes narrowed. Here, someone's trying to reach you from an unknown location. They're using a burner device, highly sophisticated. This isn't just corporate espionage. It's personal. Lucas's pulse quickened. Personal? Yes, Naomi confirmed. Someone from your inner circle. Someone who knows you better than anyone should. He swallowed hard, trying to steady his racing thoughts. And if they succeed? Naomi's gaze hardened. Then everything we've fought for collapses. Your company, your privacy, your life, it all becomes vulnerable. Lucas's jaw tightened. We can't let that happen. She smiled faintly. We won't. But you have to trust me completely. No hesitation. No second guessing. Can you do that? Lucas nodded without a moment's doubt. I trust you. Together, they enacted a final sequence. Naomi's fingers flew over the device, rerouting digital trails, masking communications, and isolating potential threats. Every click, every command, was precise, practiced, and unstoppable. Lucas watched, learning, realizing that survival required more than instinct. It required strategy, foresight, and unwavering trust. Suddenly, a notification blinked, a video feed. Lucas's eyes widened as he saw a familiar figure, the executive who had orchestrated the mole's infiltration, holding a secure laptop, unaware that their every move was being traced. Naomi whispered, "We can confront them directly or force them to expose themselves further. I recommend the latter. Let them reveal everything." Lucas nodded. Do it. Minutes later, the operative's video feed shifted unexpectedly. The hacker realized the trap too late. Their device was compromised, location exposed, movements tracked. Naomi's voice cut through the digital haze. You're outmaneuvered. It's over. The operative froze, realizing that resistance was futile. Within moments, law enforcement and private security converged on the location, seizing the operative and securing evidence. Lucas exhaled, relief and adrenaline washing over him. The immediate danger had ended. Naomi turned to him. It's done. For now. Lucas felt a weight lift from his shoulders. For now. She nodded. In this world, vigilance never ends. But the threats that mattered most today? Gone. Neutralized. They descended from the rooftop into the quiet of Lucas's private office. Outside, the city carried on, oblivious to the battles waged in the shadows, the lives saved, the secrets protected. Lucas sank into his chair, exhaustion and relief washing over him. Naomi approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. You survived because you trusted the right person. Not because of luck, not because of power. Because of trust, foresight, and courage. Lucas met her gaze, gratitude and respect evident. I owe you everything. You saved my life, my company, and everything I hold dear. Naomi smiled faintly, a rare softness in her expression. You didn't owe me anything. You acted when it counted. And together, we ensured that what mattered, your life, your integrity, remained intact. That's the real victory. Lucas leaned back, reflecting on the past hours. The diner, the switch, the whispered warning, the citywide infiltration, it had all led to this moment. He understood now that Naomi hadn't just protected him. She had taught him a lesson in strategy, trust, and resilience. Suddenly, his phone buzzed, a notification from an unknown number. He hesitated, then opened it. A single line appeared. You're ready. Now, the real game begins. Lucas's pulse quickened. Naomi noticed his reaction. This is the next phase, she said calmly. They're watching, but now we know. Now we can act. This is the difference between surviving and controlling the narrative. Lucas nodded. Then let's act. Outside, the city lights shimmered, reflecting the endless complexity of a world filled with hidden threats and unseen heroes. Lucas knew that survival had been only the beginning. What Naomi had done, the silent intervention at the diner, The meticulous protection throughout the city had changed everything. He was no longer merely reacting to danger. He was prepared to confront it, to control it, to master it. And as the two of them stood together, side by side, Lucas realized something deeper. The world of high stakes, wealth, and power was nothing without the human element, trust, courage, and connection. Naomi had saved his life, yes, but she had also shown him how to truly live in a world where every second could be decisive. The city carried on, oblivious, indifferent, but Lucas knew he had been given a gift far beyond wealth or influence. Survival had turned into mastery, fear had turned into clarity, and a single act of courage, a switch of a phone in a quiet New York diner, had rewritten the rules of his life. The unknown operative is apprehended, neutralizing the final immediate threat. Lucas confirms the integrity of all company data. No leaks, no compromises. Naomi remains by his side, the trusted ally and protector whose foresight ensured survival. Lucas exhaled deeply, looking out over the city skyline once more. We've survived. We've protected everything that matters. And we've learned something invaluable. Life, trust, and courage can't be measured by wealth, influence, or appearances. Only by action and integrity. Naomi nodded, placing her hand briefly on his shoulder. And remember, Lucas, this is only the beginning. But now you know how to face the future. If you were Lucas, how would you prepare for the next threat? Could you trust someone like Naomi to have your back again? Comment below with your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe for more stories of strategy, courage, and survival. Every decision matters.